some people's bodies.
How was it picking it up? Oh, is it picking up my sound in the back? That's interesting. Yeah, it's gonna pick it up. Damn it. I guess we're talking to myself. I was listening to a video from a YouTuber, one of my favorites. I guess he had a lecture talk on immunology. Oh, it was on the stream. He had a stream. Oh, interesting. It's pretty cool. Damn, I should have checked it out. Yeah, I just found out he's a legit university. Um, there's like nobody in my fucking chat, but I'm just talking to myself. I'm pretending like there's a chat here with me. Sad day. In case anybody stumbles on this in the future, which is more likely. Um, I was gonna. So I was struggling with drawing the Goblin. Like I really was. Like if we go back to the history, but I didn't like it. It's a good reference model for how I wanted to go, but it felt very static to balance. I wanted the before I click on anything, I want it because the history, like this history, that's one thing I like about Infinity Design. I could go back to the past and branch into a parallel universe. Another thing you could do is take a snapshot. So let's say you want to save this, and let's just say, for now, we're gonna put original shot. It'll save it like a separate file, but it'll be like a separate file within Affinity. It's pretty freaking cool. I'm pretty sure you could just look it up to see how other people do it. But that's one thing I like about Infinity. It's, let's say you like this shot and you don't want to, save it into a different file and just get confused like how many files you have. Like I'll showcase one right now. Let's do. It's been a while. Let's do this one real quick. So let's say you're like, hey, I really like this shot, right? We're gonna take out snapshot. And you could put it in, I want to give the whole lecture on Infinity. Oh wow, I don't have it on this one. Interesting. So we're gonna pull up snapshot. Oh, here's snapshot. It's right in front of me. And we're gonna put original design, right? And it just saves it within here, right? Next thing I would like to do, and I'm pretty sure I just closed it, which I shouldn't. Let's say you got interested, you're working on it, you did all sorts of changes, maybe you changed the background, maybe you overlaid it, maybe you got the yellow moon, you changed the color, you're doing all this stuff, like you're playing around. This is just a good example. Remember you like how this showcase, it looks like it's a flower, you're gonna play around with it. And let's just keep it like that. We're really exaggerating. We're being really destructive. You forget a layer and all that, and you're just carrying on. And we're gonna do another snapshot. Give me a second. We're gonna pull out the snapshot again, and this time we're gonna put new design. Right, and it's cool because it saves. I think it also saves the history, and we're gonna actually continue. We're gonna put it right here. And let's say what tends to happen a lot with designers is you do a lot of work, but then you really you like where you were at, but you really want to go back to the original design, but you've done so much destructive editing. Now, for those who don't know what destructive means, is basically you hit the point of no return that you forget to control undo. And a lot of times with programs, you save your work. We're gonna do it right now. And pay attention to the history. So like you save your work, and it doesn't always save it. You could do save with history, but that takes a lot of memory off your design. And you're like, it's already too late. I already put save. And call it save, call it a day, you close the file, right? Now we're gonna open that file again. This is turning into a live session of Infinity Design. You're gonna open up that file, which if I could find it recent, here it is. And you're like, this is not what I wanted. This looks way bad. And now, for those who don't know, I literally just did overlays. That's it. Or you can do Control Z, right? Oh, what, since you saved it, can you use Control Z? I can't because I saved it. I saved all the destructive editing. Oh, is there anything else that we could do? Well, can we just go to history and pull that out? I can't because I didn't save it with history. So wait, where's my history? Yeah. It's history. See, it doesn't, like, you can't go back. It doesn't. I didn't save it. However, lo and behold, we're gonna bring out our original design. Click on it, exit. Look at that, we're back. Now it doesn't save the history, but it does give you back to what the snapshot was. Hence the word a snapshot. You're taking a shot of a certain moment, a snap and moment in time, and it gives you back. Now let's say you don't like this. Maybe you're very abstract, experimental. You like this design, but hey, you don't have to save the two separate files. You can have one file and have two different designs, which is really cool and handy if you're working long term. Which is why going back to here, I as much as I like this is my interpretation of a goblin. It's not what I wanted to. Like, the picture in my head was something like this. Like, I think that's the problem with artists. You look at other artists and the references, and you say, I could do that. I could probably draw this. This looks AI though. This looks very AI. I could tell because I would ask AI to do goblins like this, and you could tell. It's very easy to tell AI art versus somebody else's art. Like, this is AI art. It's way too smooth, and you barely see any type of texture in the background. That's also AI art. Maybe this one kind of, but that one's definitely AI art. It even tells you it's AI art. Yeah, AI art is very uncanny. It's like that weird oil. I think that one's AI. Yeah. It's just weird. You could tell once you look at AI art. I think it's awesome, but it always has that weird rendering 3D blender lighting, like highlights. It's the same freaking spotlight. After a while, it just looks very what's the word? Sure, you hit the vision, but it's not creative. Like, it's always the same sunlight spot. Hey, sunlight spot. Hey, sunlight spot. Sunlight spot. Sunlight spot. Sunlight. It's very repetitive. There's no. It. Sure, you created something that we're all thinking about what we think, but there's no. It doesn't feel authentic. It just feels like. It's basically a copy. That's what AI art is. And I'm just using it as a reference. I'm using this one as a reference as I'm drawing it from the back by making it my own. So it sucks. Meanwhile, when you get something like this is cool, original. Is it as great as AI 3D art? No, but it's original. You get unique colors and texture. Same thing. This is original. It doesn't have to be exaggeration, but it's a pretty cool, unique take and very authentic. You can see the details, like human error details. But human error, or what we even if you call it human error, it's pretty amazing on its point. I think this one I can't tell that because I don't think it's. Let me check it out. Yeah. So however, that one looks pretty cool actually. Does that one look AI art? I can't tell. See, it starts to get bland. Like, they all hit the same. There's nothing wrong with it copying it, like using it as a reference, but don't fall into the pattern of what AI is just simply spitting. Like, even this looks pretty cool. It doesn't look realistic, but it feels oily and authentic and soft. It's a person's interpretation of what a goblin is. Or even this, you could tell a human made it. Like, it doesn't feel AI rendered 3D. Like, this is what art is. Art is. If there was like a mainstream art that we all had to copy, like, even this is pretty cool too. Like, that's unique. Sure, it's not textured, sure it's not that, but you still get other people's that's the key word, diversity. That's what makes art amazing, is the diversity of each person's art being put next to each other. That allows art to feel enriched. It feels value. Same thing with color. It's not like, by the way, this is AI art. I use that as an AI art just to like test it out. I liked it. It was pretty cool, but I was like, I stopped using it because I was like, eh. So that's the only time I ever use AI art. Also for D&D, I use AI art for D&D, but I decided to stop because it feels like you're you're blocking your creativity and not allowing yourself to make mistakes. Now, what is a mistake? A mistake is what you think is wrong. What is an error? Once again, what a person thinks is wrong or an error, that's what a mistake is, and a mistake is only what's the word? Man, I feel like I'm doing a lecture. A mistake is defined by the judgment and consequences. So if you think it's a mistake, you're the judgment and you're the consequences. Let's say I throw a ball into a window and it breaks. Uh, the window breaks, therefore the consequences it's a mistake, right? So by law in society, we'll be like, hey, he threw a ball into a window. It was a mistake. It was an error because something got broken. And because the window was broken, it was the consequences, correct? And you're probably imagining it probably like I didn't say what type of window it belonged to, a home or family or an abandoned factory. Now, if it was a family home, then it was a mistake. The consequences is I accidentally broke into a family home window and I could endanger someone. That's the consequences. It was a mistake. However, it was an abandoned factory. Maybe it's been 300 years and no one's going to do anything, and I threw a ball into an abandoned factory. No harm, no foul. It was not a mistake. It was maybe on purpose or by accident. But once again, it is defined your actions or even like mistakes or even if art is defined by the judgment and the environment. So in this case, maybe this is not a mistake. Maybe this goblin is okay. But I'm judging it and it's not how I want it to go. I actually want it to be a bit more, I had this more shading, like not something like this, but like something kind of, oh, this one's pretty cool. Something around to this area. But I wanted to do my own version of a goblin. So I am using references. I just had this one, but I'm gonna just play around and get references. So yeah, I'm just giving a lecture on the psychology of decision making, and it's pretty interesting because that's what I studied. I studied 5 years of psychology, and I continue to study on my own. I read books on psychology books, but not just bullshit. I like to call it bullshit pop psychology. I feel like nowadays you see a lot of pop psychology that's like open, accessible to the public so they could understand it. But to me, that's very elementary psychology. When I say elementary psychology, like, what's the word? It's like telling someone they know how to code on Microsoft Word, and they say, hey, I'm coding by just typing letters in a paragraph. That's not coding. You're just typing a paragraph. English. You're typing English sentences onto a computer. You could see it as coding because you hear the click, clack, 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 like this. And you think that's coding. That's what coders do. But coders actually, it's a series of logic and syntax and knowing what functions are. It's a combination of math, almost like algebra 2 math, which I think is pretty interesting. But basically that same thing with psychology. I think a lot of psychology out there is very pop psychology. It definitely hit the influence market, and it's very it's, I'm not gonna lie, psychology is very it's interesting if you look into the research. And when it comes to decision making, biases, I know a lot of people think like psychology, unconscious power, or all that. It's very boring. Like it's interesting, but it's very boring. There's not really powerful tricks to enhance your brain. You can only be self-aware. And some of it is very tied to philosophy, I will argue. Like psychology and philosophy go hand in hand, and like those two are like twins. Like if you have a thought about, for example, like we were talking about mistakes, what makes a mistake? We're diving into philosophy or like even sociology. That's even a touch of base of that. For example, is it a mistake to kill a murder? like someone who killed people? Was it like if you killed a murderer by accident, are you the hero or another murderer? Does killing another murderer is that alright? But what if it was an accident? You start to get into like weird questions like those. Now, the average person or even in public would probably say, it's okay. It was a murder, so it counts as it out. Who's to say this murderer did not have a moment of thought? Maybe I should stop doing this. That could be better. Maybe I could repay my actions. And then all of a sudden you kill him. Was that a mistake to suddenly stop someone from murdering? And we're probably entering two courses of thoughts or two courses of action. No, it was karma, or it was a long time coming. That's another conversation of karma, or that murder was should be given a second chance. So there's always the second chances, and then those punishment. No, judgment. We have to punish people for committing crimes. Don't even get me started on what crimes are. That's a whole nother lecture. And psychology talks about that's pretty interesting too. So don't take everything. I think it's cool if psychology is helping people, but do take it with a grain of salt and just study on your own. I highly recommend. I know my train. I was like, the whole point of this was to like draw, but this freaking goblin came out of its cave, and now it's got me all screwed up. So we're gonna do that in the meantime. Draw as I talk about psychology. Let's probably do psychology art at the same time. I think a lot of people are interested, and I think a lot of people are interested in psychology, but I think they want a legit, interesting voice or someone to actually do a. Oh no! See, I screwed up because I didn't properly save the other one that I was working on. Damn it. And I closed it too. Gonna have to start all over. Now that's a mistake because that's not what I wanted. So we're gonna delete the goblin because that's not what I was going for. I don't like it. But we are gonna keep it as a reminder of where we started from. Even though I just deleted it, but I have my snapshot. I was gonna show you some books. So one book I highly recommend, or 3 books. Let me see if I have it in my Google Book library. And like all my 5 years, it's been a while. I graduated in like 6 years ago, and I don't know if psychology has drastically changed. It's been 6 years, so a lot of things can change in 6 years. Like I noticed a lot of things have been changing in regarding like science. Even this book I'm reading, it's like freaking old, but it's still a good segue book. Google Books. Wish you could. Books. Maybe that lets me know what my library. Sorry, I couldn't even see that. I wonder why they do that on purpose. Why is it so small? I swear, I feel like Google's getting a bit outdated. I could be wrong. Reading now. No. My library. Why is it? See, now I'm kind of annoyed because I know I have bought books. And for those wondering about liber and sexuality, I was just reading it. I didn't even complete it. It was just, I thought I was like, hey, what can I learn about liberating sexuality? And it was pretty boring. It was no biological. It was more pseudo. It's like emotional. That's how I would describe books. It's focusing a lot of emotions and making you feel good, and there's no actual science behind it, rather than a self-help pep talk. It's an emotional. It's just making you feel good. It's an emotional feel good book too. It's like a pity emotional feel good. That's what self-help books are. Not in a bad way. I'm saying it. Just in general, most self-help books is just someone who's really good at guiding you for $5 or $10.99. And I have a lot of books like those. The hypocrisy. Yeah, I acknowledge hypocrisy. Right now I'm trying to figure out as I'm clicking around. Google books, because I really want people to read this. I've always tell people where to buy their books. It's Google search, no, my library, Oh, there it is. Google Playbooks. Let's see the ones I have. My library. It better not take me back to the same place I was. Okay, here they are. Not the ones on the bottom. These are just my own. Don't even read this one. This one's kind of really boring. This book is basically the basis of all. I wouldn't say the basis of all psychology, but basically what psychology is. When it comes to when you hear the word biases or stereotypes or decision making, this is the book that most people refer to. Like, but it's a very thick, heavy book. I'm reading it because I have a better understanding of it, and I've been reading like over the couple of years. I've mostly been interested in research paper, and my vocabulary continues to expand, and I have a better, stronger understanding of math. Like, it's just this is like a skill that I've have to improve on. It's not something that I would say you could be just like me. This is like years. I'm 29 years old, and I've been nonstop reading. Like I kind of stayed away from fantasy for a bit. I do listen to fantasy audios, but I haven't got a chance to read, or it's not a chance actually. I haven't really given myself that chance. I feel like people say like I haven't given myself a chance. When they say I haven't got a chance, it's because they haven't given themselves that chance. Like, who else is going to give you that chance? So it's like you give yourself chances. Yes, it's turning into philosophy and psychology and self-help, motivation 101. I'm trying to figure out what year this book came out, but it doesn't give me more information. I kind of wish like about this book. Okay, so this book came out in 2011. So wait, that's a lie. Yeah, it's the title 2011, but when did the book exactly come out? Major bestseller. Okay, we're just gonna have to do some hardcore, just finding things out. I'll be laughing if it's 2011. Oh, it came out in 2011. Okay, so this book is really cool. I highly recommend looking into it. They don't really talk about System 1 and System 2 in psychology, like modern day. I mean, when I was going to school from 2018 to 2013, at that time it was just more, what's the word? Research. It was really heavy into research, like statistics and decision making in labs. Like most of my courses was basically on just this is the data that we found about human behavior and human thoughts, and that's it. And here's some things, some key terms to learn about. I'm not kidding. That's what it really depends what you're looking for in psychology. Like it's a very broad category because it's human mind. There's human design. There's sleep. There's biological, there's neurological, there's drugs on psychology, there's human development, there's adult development, there's children development. Like I'm saying, like psychology is like a wide ass category. So you really like when you say psychology, that's why I say when I say pop psychology, you're just barely touching the surface. For me, I just studied more on social research, and so basically. For me, if I had to be honest, cognitive decision-making skills, risk and aversion, and neuropsychology, as well as I can't even talk today. Pharmacological. Psychopharmacology. That was pretty interesting. Not gonna lie. This one really opened me up to drugs, which I do not recommend as saying taking drugs. I don't take it. Some of the research behind this told me not to. No, hell no. I'm not touching that shit. So yeah, LSD and all that shit. I'm not touching that. I'm not. I seen the research behind that. I think there's research now that's trying to like get people to about with their depression, but I still recommend to be wary about that. And the Goblin hasn't come in out. I've just been lecturing on what I know. But the thing is, because I'm doing something that I don't know, what I don't know is how to make a 3D render of a goblin. So I'm using this as a reference, and I'm actually going to pull it out here. So we're going to get some references, because you know what? Why not? Why not? I really hate that AI. D&D has really sweet designs, not gonna lie. I'll be honest. Like, if Oh, it's because wait, hold on, sorry. I'm like, how come they're not popping up? It's because I got to put it on an artboard. Okay. So they should pop up now? No? I'm so confused why they're not popping up. Maybe because I didn't turn into an artboard? Okay, there you go. So one thing if you want to have without having to open up. Okay. If you don't want to open up, and I've been using this a lot lately, like this trick. I don't know if Affinity covers it, but before I used to pay for about PureRiff. PureRiff is pretty cheap, honestly, but with Infinity Design, you can actually insert an artboard and put pictures on the side. Like it's not going to interfere with your art. You just got to put an artboard though. Once again, back to Infinity. And back to psychology and understanding and goblins. So we're gonna start a fresh topic. I apologize if I'm all over the place. I've been meaning to get these thoughts out. I feel like I haven't talked to people, and I will talk to people. I will mostly talk people's ears off, like literally. So, and the thing, because right from the beginning, because I remember what I was talking about now that I'm drawing the goblin, is mistakes. I was not gonna lie, I was struggling and trying to draw a goblin because I didn't like the first thing I did. I know I could do better, and I was trying to find a good brush, but I decided to just like, you know what, it's not gonna be perfect. I'm not gonna destroy myself and trying to really get that. Actually, I'd rather start from light because I don't know too much about color theory, perspective, or lighting. I do know some like basic geometric math numbers on lighting. Like I know lighting is coming from here, not from the back, unless somehow there's a fire behind them. But for the most part, there should be no brighter spot here, and all dark spots should be. All this should be dark spot. Like there's some lighting here, but I didn't make that. Once again, I photo bashed this, so I'm kind of making it up as we go. But just stuff like that. So it's like probably what's the word? Probably a well-talented artist could see so much mistakes with my drawings, and that's okay. I think it's cool if they're judging me. I understand that, but sometimes I just want to produce art out there without having to think about all the errors, because chances are what we interpret as a perfect drawing probably has a bunch of details and errors that our eyes does not match with reality. And one reality is that goblins don't exist. That's an error in our reality. Goblins do not exist. So why draw a goblin? Like think about that. Why draw fantasy? Why draw stuff that doesn't exist if that's an error in our reality? Like it should not exist, and we should say illogical. This painting does not fit standards of reality, so this painting is false because it does not exist. Most paintings, most interpretation of like most paintings in art do not exist in real life. It's just a captured moment or a capture to the imagination brought to life. Once again, not brought to life. It's just tricking your audience that these things could possibly exist. There's like a good example is anime. Anime does not exist in real life. Nobody has big eyes. There's no superhero upgrade. There's no historical heroes. Like not even anime, just crapping on it. Like even what's the word? And talking about it and getting art. I guess I just gotta have to talk. That's it. Sorry, I was like jumping up. Yeah, stuff like that. It's like that's what we call it, fantasy. And I know some people are really like in the future, if they were to watch these videos, they're like, well, yeah, no, duh, it's supposed to be an escape fantasy. Yeah, most art is escape fantasy, I would argue. And some of it is just like it's really up to interpretation what you think art is. But I just wanted to like hit that subject of where am I actually gonna draw? There you go. Ew, this looks weird. Okay. Sorry, I have to like focus on that. Yeah, like it. Once again, what is a mistake, and why can't we say like, hey, what you're doing is wrong? Like this is just interpretation of a goblin. Like we don't know what the golem anatomy is. We just know it looks funny. Because no such thing should have features like that. And once again, so that means if it's fantasy, it could be whatever we want it to be. Ooh, whoa, so it's not really a mistake. Like even if an artist were to come in, hey, that's not real lighting. For all we know, that's not. That could just be. For like a good example is, and I remember this, and I'm only gonna show this because it was pretty cool. Doom ribcage zombie design. There's like a monster. Doom ribcage. No. Where is it? It's like one of these Doom monsters. Doom monsters designs. Let me see if I can find it. Let me find it. It has like a rib cage around its head. Huh, I can't seem to find it. So anyways, one of the design artists, they ask him like, hey, so what functionality does the rib cage... Oh, I think... is it this one? No. So it was I like some of the questions, like the artists, like he... Well, so these creatures do not exist in real life, and that's okay. Like I think that's where I'm starting to like when an artist starts to critique a work, saying like, hey, the lighting's off or this is off. It's fantasy art drawing. Like what how will that actually look like on a monster? You can make it realistic as you want, which a lot of people try to do, and you think it's cool, but it's fantasy. You can make it whatever you want. You don't have to limit yourself based on what it should abide by logic now or reality. How we interpret reality. Even I don't even gotta talk about how each one of us interprets color. Like this, what functionality? Like how would the skeletal version of this looks like? Or how would the skeleton like? Will this even have a skeleton? Does these even have skeletons? And or like what? How does it float? First off, how does it fly? Is it like it's gas coming out of its ass? Is it just levitating? Can it just break physics? Like this looks like a heavy ass object. Is it a balloon? Is it a fire? Or even this, like how is this even moving? Like what is the skeletal neurological structure? Like see that's the part where like that pisses me off is just do whatever you want. It's like no one's gonna like if someone tries to judge you based on what you did, your art, and it's like even if it's crappy art, even if you think it's crappy, it didn't match the image in your head, so what? You did it, you created it, you made your own reality. But don't go around saying that, hey, because my reality is this, it's correct. Don't do that. You start I like to say flinging shit into other people's dinners. You don't want to do that. So it's wow. I think I was gonna say something. Well, I'll say it now. I think even talking about it or like getting the thoughts out of my head, even into the vast void of the internet. Hopefully someone stumbles onto this and actually gets something out of it. It's been a long time coming. I've been holding these thoughts in for a bit. I teach at school, and sometimes I just want to like have a full-on lecture with the kids. I can't do that though because it's a lot of information, and I feel like these kids would be overwhelmed. Like they grow up on the internet. I get it. Like even I grew up on the internet. I get it. There's like some really bad shit on here that it kind of like fucks you up, and it kind of mentally scars you. So that's why I teach, just to give kids hope that, hey, I'm going to teach some psychology, little bits, but at the same time, don't give up on yourself. Or, hey, life is like, don't relax. Life ain't that bad. Hopefully. I can't speak for each kid because Maybe a kid's going through something, but that's why I like art. You can make it whatever you want, and it doesn't have to abide by logic or rules. However, for me, I like to give some realism to it because that's my standard for myself. I like a reality, and I try not to abide by any other artists. Like, I use other artists. Like when I look at other art, that's actually like coming up pretty cool. When I look at other artists, I see them as a guide. I don't see it as the truth. I apologize. I once again, like, just because you say something that I agree with doesn't mean I see it as the truth. I just see it as a guide. Like, hey, cool opinion, bro. That's it. I'm not gonna see it as, hey, bro, what you say really changed my life, and you know what? I'm gonna follow you till you die. Like, whatever you say, I shall listen. Which I think we're kind of at that point right now with influencers. I think we're past that point. Actually, I shouldn't say we're at that point. It's we have now people willing to die for celebrities or join cults or listen to what they say as truth. And what differences is it from society? Like, even if we started our ancestors, I've really, like, man, I wish I could tell you a lot. I'm giving him the butt cheeks. It's not much really has changed over the last couple of like decades when it comes to like human what's it called, thinking. I'll be honest on that. You're probably wondering, like, psychology, like, wait, what is this psychological history? There is, but I'm not gonna go into it. I'm not saying like things, but we've been making the same goddamn mistakes and the same behavior for the last couple of years. Like, making this up as I go. Sorry, I'm like focusing on it. Yeah, like, if there's this really good video that I love, or I always laugh and I share it to people to showcase that, yeah, we haven't really evolved. We evolved technology wise, but brain wise, maybe we have evolved, but I've yet to see any sufficient evidence, because or strong evidence that we've gotten so. I mean, so, see, this is where. So I had to stop myself here. I'll tell you why. I don't know if I'm right what I'm about to say, because I could be wrong, and that's okay. It's okay to be wrong. But what I'm gonna say is I take a chance that maybe we haven't evolved mentally, behaviorally wise, because we're still making the same mistakes. For example, racism, colorism, genderism. I don't think we have the neurological upgrades to fully understand that or accept it as, hey, because we're all thinking like that, we should all move on into that. Like, right? Like, hey, colorism, hey, racism is bad, and then just take away that part of the brain that detects racism or differences in skin and judge it as, hey, you're different than me. We have laws, and one thing I will say is, if there was a law, it's probably because it was human decision, human thinking that led to that law to happen. It's actually pretty. It's coming out pretty alright. Yeah. Oh fuck! I'm in the wrong. Fuck. I'll take it. So that's one thing I gotta start doing. Is zooming out. So even though I did the brain structure or whatever the hell this is, I forgot to zoom out. I was focusing so much on detail, but I forgot that we're looking at the bigger picture here. And I was gonna showcase this video before I move on. It's the history of each generation complaining about work. History of each generation complaining about each other. I'm sorry, I can find it. The history of adults blaming the younger generation. I highly recommend watching it, but it's just funny. I'll just showcase it. It's like 1 minute 29. And you know what? I'll read it. 2001. 13 years ago. They have trouble making decisions. They would rather hike in the Himalayas than climb a corporate ladder. Time magazine. "1993. It's the first generation in American history to live so well and complain so bitterly about it." That was, I'm trying to do some math, 31 years ago, I think. I'm 29. I was born in 1984. The Zoomers, or the young people these days, they don't even know what 1993 was. Because that makes fucking sense. You guys don't know 1993 because you guys weren't born there. I wasn't even born there. So that's funny. 1951. Many young people were so pampered now these days they had forgotten that was such a thing as walking. This is the 50s. This is the boomers. This is when the boom start kicking in. I think they're only 10 years old at this time. So think about it. 1950, the 1950s, that generation of those adults who were in the 30s, that means they were born from the 1920s, were complaining about the 50s, the teenagers at that time, the boomers as teenagers. Funny, right? Now we're gonna get to the point just to like make it straightforward. This is your, if I had to take a chance, if you're a Zoomer or if you're my age, 30, let's just say, just for the sake of argument, this is your dad's grandpa. This is my dad's grandpa, so I'll put it that way. This is your dad's grandpa, and we're only like humans live up to 100 years. So we're not that far away from 1933 in terms of like generations. This is your grandpa's grandpa. Or my dad's grandpa. Hopefully that makes sense. An attitude of the part young folks which is best described as grossly thoughtless, rude, and utterly selfish. 1843. Girls who drive colt carts, ride ass straight upon horses, drink, swear, fight, smoke, whistle, and care for nobody. The morals of children are tenfold worse than formerly. 1790. The free access which many young people have to romances, novels, and plays have poisoned the mind, corrupted the morals of the youth. The internet for 1790. Youth will never be more saucy, yet no more savagely saucy. The ancient are scorned, the honorables are condemned, and the masters say. So I think I get the point. Every year, every 100 years or years, it's the same complaining. Circa 20 BC. This is okay. If you don't know what BC is, I'm gonna get a timeline right now. We're gonna talk about how it could go. Wait, historical. BC. Just to really put it into perspective, images. Is this a good picture? I think so. Okay. Wow, what the hell? Okay. Man, this is really confusing. Okay. So World War One. This is your grandpa's grandpa, or I think grandpa. Yeah, we're like roughly 100 years and 10 apart from here. Or what's this, 110 years, right? So that's like 2 generations. This is like, once again, your grandpa's grandpa. Subtract 1,900 years. So that's 10 generations of your grandpa. We're here at BC. We haven't even hit here. So the last 2,000 years, once again, 20 grandpas ago, 20 generations, we're here. So throughout all these times, each adult's, not this one right here. I think this one was screwed up. From 1918 to up to 1492 in BC, adults were complaining of each other. Like even before Christ was born. That's what BC stands for, before Christ. The beardless youth does not foresee what is useful. like what? Like the beardless youth does not foresee what is useful, squandering his money. So people sucked at handling money back then, and we're talking about 2,000 years ago, 2,000 years and 100 years before Christ was born. People sucked at handling money. So it's so I refuse to believe that. I mean, I the whole point I was trying to say is I really have a hard time understanding in human evolution that we have somehow passed biases. Like it's not innate in us that it may, and I could be wrong. Maybe things are going to change in the next couple of years about human processing in our brain, because it could. Some gene mutation is a thing. Mental mutation is a thing. Like it's. I really have a hard time understanding, a hard time believing that we have evolved from 2,000 years, because we're still making the same mistakes. If we did, and this is my, once again, I could be wrong, but if we did got better as a society, like like biological brain wise thinking, why do we have mental disorders, or why do we have stress, or why do we have anxiety? This is something that the brain should, obviously over time should have deleted it from our system, like stress, right? I will argue that, hey, if humans were going to have a sucky life on this planet for the next couple hundred years, one thing I would take away is the mental cognition for stress, right? That's the logic that I have. However, that type of thinking is very dangerous, though. I'll tell you why. Because we need to have stress. It allows us to understand what is not normal, or what is not stressful for us. You can't just... I probably want... So my first argument, before we continue, my first argument was... is I don't think that humans have evolved as greatly advanced in terms of biological, psychological, like the brain. I could be wrong. Maybe some things have changed over the years of our brain that we gotten better at it. It could be informational processing. I will argue. Maybe that, like, maybe the brains, like if we were to open up a brain now versus the past, maybe informational processing is better. Like maybe we're really good at it, and some people just don't have that. I was kind of fucked up to say that too, because to say, hey, some people don't have the brain gene to handle information. It could be, maybe that's the case. Some people just don't have that, and so maybe some people might say, hey, that's ADHD. It's like, no, I've seen people with ADHD who have really great memory. So like psychology and brain, and like it's very you don't want to see things that are taboo, that especially when it comes to gene. I think most people want to have an understanding of control of their life. Like, hey, just because I have a genetic mental thing of that does not make me weaker or predisposition to failure or death. That's a very careful way. It's like one route you don't want to go. Nor do we want to say as truth, because we could be wrong. That's why I like it's okay to be wrong. I feel like psychology, it's okay to be wrong about certain things. And I'm really don't know what I'm doing with the Goblin. I made him naked. I've been working so much on the shadows. Give me a second. And I think that's why a lot of like you don't want to say. And I remember this one. I'm not even gonna mention that guy's name, because that guy ended up he was a straight up racist. He has anti-Semitism, and like we don't talk about it in my school, but it's there. But he said some genetic anti-Semitism psychology, and there's like a lot of racism, like there's definitely a lot of racism with what's it called, with genetic psychology I wouldn't say like when it comes to race. Um, there's definitely is like taboo, but we don't know. Once again, you don't want to say it as truth. That's why there's no psychological law. It's all a bunch of theories. There's no psychological law. There really is not, but there are some psychological effects. That's for sure. That's that's definitely taken. Um, but we don't. There really is no psychological law like, hey, if you have this, then therefore you are now that. Um, like even with mental disorders, it's not. It's just a identification, just the label. It's an identity. It's just something that we just notice out of pattern, like PTSD, depression. It's just a label for a pattern that we notice. I'm actually gonna stop right here because I don't know what I want to do with this guy. Can I play around with this guy? Oh man, it's actually pretty interesting. I was trying to give him an outfit. And maybe we can give him an outfit. Screw it. We're gonna give it an overlay over it. But yeah, that's pretty much it with psychology. Like I feel like I already round my mouth. I have nothing else to say. Pretty interesting. I've been meaning to talk about this with people at work or thing, but I could be overwhelming sometimes. Like I'll be one problem that I have with myself is I'll be saying stuff that I'll be confident enough to think I know what I'm talking about, but I don't, because I know time could prove me that I'm wrong. And it's very difficult with me to like. I think because I studied psychology to, or even like see time and even being proven wrong so much in my life, and it's okay to be proven wrong. Like that's one thing. I really find it hard to believe that people just saying things as truth as if were the absolute truth. Like it was like there's no other option. There's no other. Like really like you don't think that there's a possibility that that could occur. Now there are laws and things that like gravity. You can't just say like, hey, that does not exist. No, it does. Maybe our understanding of gravity could change, but there are certain rules of life that you just cannot. What's the word? You can't just call it a day and say, hey, that it is what it is, and that's it. And that's why I like science. But I find it hard to believe when it comes to like other stuff that's not tangible. Like I don't want to go into the subject. Religion. I'll go there. I find it hard to believe that it's like many religions, many beliefs, many interpretations of the world, and even for atheists, I find it hard to believe that a person's belief is the absolute truth. If it helps you to cope with the world and understanding, go for it. And if you actually believe that there's a power, no power, multiple powers, or unseen powers, or all that could possibly happen, I go for it. But I do not see it as absolute truth. I apologize. I just think, like, if to say your absolute truth is truth and to deny other people's truths as truths, I think that's kind of weird. Like, why should yours stand out? But once again, if it allows you to have some type of control of this world that we live in, because it feels like there's no control at all sometimes. I'm not gonna be the one to shoot you down. I'm not. Trust. I'm not. That's one thing I'll say. I won't be the one to shoot you down. It's yourself and the reality that you live in that will shoot you down, and you have to somehow cope with it. So if you have to change your beliefs to cope with reality, yeah. Now the question is, why does this goblin have 3 arrows? And I'm kind of lazy to draw another arrow, so we're just going to grab that. So yeah, that's like as much as I try not to get like taboo shit right there. That's one taboo shit I would not recommend, telling other people that they're wrong for what they believe in. Sometimes it does enter like a morality ambiguity where you have to do the right thing and step in. Like someone were to tell me, hey, God told me that Americans are better than Europeans, I will have to step in and be, no, that's very ignorant and you can't say stuff like that. But hey, it's my world and my reality, and that's dangerous beliefs. Those are dangerous beliefs that we have to look out for, as much as we hate it, because you're tolerating something that could affect people in the long term. And that's like another topic that, oh man, we need to talk about too. I think we got into the point of what the fuck happened here. Oh. Wait. I see what's happening. I'm gonna have to erase it. No. Wait, why did I do that though? Hold on. I'm trying to make sense out of this. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I don't think the average person's gonna see. Oh, actually, they can't see. It's okay. Okay, there you go. Much better. It's calling out other people's for their beliefs. Nowadays, like I feel like we're trying to be peaceful and calming of everyone. It's very difficult to. I guess we don't want to cross that bridge of making people uncomfortable, because if I call out that your beliefs are wrong, you want to call out my beliefs, and we don't want to destroy each other's worlds. That what's making us sane. I think that's why we're kind of getting it all out there, and people are angry. People are being, and when I say called out, when beliefs are being challenged, like, and it's okay to feel anger. You're protecting. That's a natural defense mechanism. When your beliefs are challenged, you enter not a fight or flight response, like physically, maybe, but you're entering a fight response, an anger, disbelief. You're in other words, you're sustaining your knowledge and experience for a brief moment and have to make the decision: is this person right or am I wrong? And how much is this person is right? And to what extent are they right? Because we don't have that critical thinking. And I would say that math is probably a good starting point for that. Because it's very straightforward and it's multiple ways to solve something. Wow, I don't know what's happening here. See, the problem is I should have been doing it from zooming out, because the average person is not going to see this. What they're going to see is this. This is just an anchor. This is the main show. And I actually want to get some yellow lighting, so I'm actually going to switch. So we're actually going to get some yellow here to showcase that there's light. So once again, not sure what I'm doing. Just playing around. Don't mind me, I'm just an old man. Challenging beliefs, yes. That's because that's what we're talking about. That's where we're at right now. We're just challenging beliefs and seeing what sticks and what doesn't stick, what's healthy, we really need to get rid of dangerous beliefs. You cannot say that you can't say that certain people should not exist because your belief or your inherited knowledge and experience and religion tells you to. That's kind of fucked up. Saying we can't just eliminate people out of existence simply because we don't agree with them. And then this is where we enter like really taboo subject. Uh, if there's a group of dangerous people spouting that their existence should dominate, and our response is maybe we should just kill them because they're dangerous. Man, this is about we. This is about we enter. What's it called? You gotta be careful what you see on YouTube. I'll say it. I'll say it. That's a very moral greatness right there. You. Just, I wouldn't say slippery slope. See, I don't know how to go about this without saying the end. The Aussies, those red swastikas. But I'm gonna stick my chest up and say it. Yeah, like Nazi people, Nazi believers. I don't think we should. I think they should be punished and they should be rehabilitated and have an understanding of what they're trying to say. Maybe they're angry little people who have no power, and they're basing their Nazi beliefs to give them extra amount of power because they live in a system where they are disempowered, or maybe they don't have the mental capacity. I'm not saying that genetic mental capacity. I'm saying like maybe they don't have the critical thinking skills to hear that their beliefs are extremely illogical to society. Because if their beliefs were correct, and if they were totally like, okay, what's happening here? Hold on, give me a second. Why is it not giving me that dark brown I want? Huh, interesting. Probably because I think it was a detailer. Was it a detailer? See, why is it not giving me that dark brown? Screw it. I'm not even gonna play around with it. Okay. I'm all for rehabilitation, or re-education. We shouldn't be, and I know most people are gonna disagree. If someone's spouting dangerous stuff, and here's my true train of thoughts, because I used to do juvenile. If there's a slight chance that we can rehabilitate them and understand that their ways are incorrect, because that's what it is at the end of the day. It's they don't know that what they're saying is very dangerous to society, because society is a team effort. As much as we want to say that we're lone wolves, it really is a team effort. So we can't just start murdering other people who will like to become murderers and say, hey, kill all these non-Nazi people. I think they're just really educated and they need a lot of help, and they're probably feeling a certain way. It's the same thing with racism. A lot of people were just miseducated and they were just spouting stuff that they have no idea what they were doing. They weren't even doing They were doing harmful stuff. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Harmful stuff were being done to blacks, Asians, and people of brown color, or just people of color, and they were just doing this stuff without any thinking. Some of it was dangerous. Some of it was life-threatening. People were being injured. We can't ignore that. We can't just say racism is just saying something racist. There was violent racism actions being done, and we had to change that. We fought it. We fought. Like when I say we, it's our ancestors, our shared ancestors. When I say shared ancestors, I'm being straight up. It's like that's literally our family member. Like even though we're all different, we're all family. Literally, our family members from the past had to fight against prejudice. People who saw them as lesser human beings. It's kind of weird to even like imagine that. Like imagine you thinking of somebody else as lesser because of the color of their skin. That's bonkers. Like it's bonkers. It wasn't bonkers back then. That's just the thought. Hey, if you're this color, you're lesser. Hey, if you're this color, you're powerful, or you're upper. You just have better genetics. Like that's the line of thinking, and that's bonkers. Like it really. And when I say bonkers, that's crazy to imagine that. And that's why we need to like speak up and say like you're wrong. I'm gonna prove you wrong. I could do think I could think, I could act and be smarter and more human than you. And I think that's what the competition should be. How human, how humane, how kind can I beat you? I know it sounds weird, competition of being nice. Now, that could go really south real quick. But when it comes to fighting against hatred, it really is love. How can I prove your ways, your violent, hateful ways, are wrong without using your violent, hateful ways? Even though we just got a knife right here. Once again, this is a fantasy. This is my fantasy, so leave me alone. I think that's the key trick. How do I prove violent, ignorant, hateful beliefs without using the same violent and hateful beliefs? And the answer is through love and kindness and patience. And that's the most difficult shit anybody could ever do. Kindness is a skill. Patience is a skill. And people who could do that, they're experts. And not everyone could do it. Being kind is difficult. Trust, because to be kind is to suspend your happiness. Is to suspend all sorts of. You to be kind is to accept loss and accept a different type of reward, understanding. Yeah, like that's one thing I learned. As uncomfortable it is to be kind, like calling out other people, and you're trying to be really positive about it, you're suspending your ego. And I will argue that if you're suspending your ego, you're losing. You're losing your pride. You're losing your identity that roots you in the now. And you give yourself a moment of kindness by letting go of your ego and sacrificing something that you have in order to gain something from the other person, which is understanding, and for them to learn from you. And I think that's something that we forget, and I think we're slowly forgetting, or hopefully it's coming back, is it's okay to be wrong in your beliefs. And it's okay to acknowledge that and to suspend for a brief moment that everything that you believe in could be wrong. And we're not trying to prove that your beliefs are better. It's having a common shared understanding, a common shared belief. Maybe being hateful is not the right way. Maybe it was better not to be feared or loved, but to have understanding and to have respect. That's the true award. It wasn't that you were wrong in this case, you was right. It's perspective, having different perspectives. But neither should we go back to, hey, I understand your side now, and I'm just going to go back to myself. It's, okay, what is something that I want, or something that I could stop myself from wanting? Because I realize it's harming you. And probably some people are gonna say you're probably greedy. It's greed at the end of the day. And some people, as much as logic, and I say that with love, some people don't have that logic, that understanding, and then you just can't reason with them, and which counters my whole rehab. Unfortunately, there's gonna be some extremists out there that, as much love and kindness you give them, they will not. Hold on, I gotta make sure this is in the right background. They will not come to your side, and at that point, you need to understand that kindness. I'm giving him a staff. I'm trying to make sure. Give me a second. It's not popping up. We're actually going to increase the staff. At that point, you need to shift your energy into someone who can understand. So it's also it's a very investment game. You also got to be careful. So kindness doesn't always win. Sometimes it's logic where, okay, I'm using my kindness on this person, it's not working. I'm gonna try a different approach, or hey, I tried different approaches at a different way. They're not gonna change their ways. Move out of the way. Move out of the way. Go help someone who is willing to learn or wants to learn, and they're stuck and they're trying to find a different solution. That's what you want to do. I think that's the key. Is someone out there wants your kindness and they need it more than ever, and they're looking for you as you are looking for them. They're probably tired of the hateful ways. They're trying to find out, and they don't know better. They don't know about what I mean. Just look it up on the internet. Sometimes on the internet, it just can't. Some people can't. And I've countered that so much in my life where I come to realize that kindness is a skill. It really is. And this is something that my dad even told me. Like, some people are not stupid. Is not, what's the word? Stupid. It is not something that you inherit. It's something that you're taught. Like, think about that. Stupidity is taught, and stupidity is judged by, man, my dad told me something, and I don't know how to like continue this conversation, because stupidity, you might ask, like, you did something stupid. It goes back to mistake. You did something wrong that you didn't even know you were wrong. So someone who's stupid doesn't know they're stupid. It's just someone who's wrong, they don't know they're wrong until you tell them to, and that's what people get scared of, telling them that they're wrong. And when I go back to that, math is probably the best way of saying you're wrong, but it teaches you why you're wrong. See, that's a key thing. Teaching. Give me a second, because I gotta take away this little thing. That's what I like education, because it teaches. But guess what? Hatred could also teach. So we gotta be careful on that. Hatred could also teach. Man, this looks really bad, but hey, I'm just gonna like leave it right here. I'm gonna call it a day right here, or stop. I'll continue with my goblin later. I actually want to increase them, but we'll see. It's gonna look weird if I do it though. Let's see. Yeah, I had a feeling, because it's gonna change everything else. I gotta mask this guy and pull him out. Probably gonna do that right now. Copy, trace. It's not the best, but we're getting somewhere. Thank you for listening. I just went on this once again, another tangent. This is how my mind operates, and I appreciate you guys, whoever watches this video, or you person, you gals, you guys, gal, them, they, them. I respect that. So have a good night, and I'll see you all